Thanks for tuning in to the Mission Matters podcast, where we feature successful, mission-driven leaders committed to creating a positive change in the world. Our mission with this channel is to inspire other leaders by providing industry insights, new ideas, and inspiring stories from the pros.
All right, Paul Fife here, where I talk with leaders heading up mission-focused organizations, always leading from the heart and making a difference in our communities. With us today is Mark Buschbacher. Did I say that right, Mark?
Yep, that's right.
All right.
Good.
Mark Buschbacher is a leader and business partner who effectively drives improved efficiency, cost management, and strategic growth. He participates in due diligence and integration of mergers and acquisitions that significantly position organizations for success. His background actually spans from P&L management roles to HR planning and implementation in retail, manufacturing, and healthcare industries. And today, he's the president and CEO of Serenity House, where he leverages his background in operational efficiency, talent acquisition, performance management to achieve the organization's goals and objectives, that organization being Serenity House. So welcome, Mark. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Why don't you just give our listeners a quick rundown, maybe what brought you to Serenity House and a little bit about your leadership over the last almost decade.
Yeah, I had, as you know, previously had a large portion of my career in the private sector and really learned a lot of my skill sets in that sector. Interesting as that started to drift away and big organizations that are organizations that have to reorganize, and I fell in that arena. I was looking for my next opportunity and what that would look like. And I really had an entrepreneurial spirit, so I wanted to kind of run my own organization. Interesting for me, Paul, is that my wife has struggled with alcoholism. And when I was seeking out my next opportunity, I was approached from the board of Serenity House in the search committee. And given my wife's recent struggles and my limited understanding to those struggles, I think it was kind of divine intervention that this opportunity that Serenity House had open and what I was going through personally just seemed like the right fit. Serenity House has a great tradition, a history, and a foundation. And I thought my business background and skill sets were in perfect alignment to join Serenity House. Even though it was in the social services sector, I still have that business background that I think both can be equally presented for success.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no reason why a nonprofit or a social service shouldn't have business best practices.
Right.
At the helm, right? It always starts with a personal connection, I guess, too. So that's always, it helps with what drives, I guess, the passion or the desire to help in that particular sector. They're now almost 7 years, right?
Correct. Yeah, March will be 7 years for me at Serenity House.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I think nonprofit leader gets asked. Do you think it's harder than your previous business experiences, or is it about the same and just different?
No, I would say it's definitely harder. I think, again, I always say the employees that I have here at Serenity House, first and foremost, they come to work with their heart on their sleeves, and that's what drives them. Again, historically, the salaries, the expense side and the heart and soul of our employees is much lesser than the private sector, and so that's what they lead by. And so you take that into consideration in your management, in your planning, in your hiring of that staff, knowing that you may not have the most crisp policies and procedures with regards to performance metrics, things of that nature, because nothing's perfect, right, in our world, and services are key component of that metrics. So we always look at that a little bit differently in the social services sector.
Yeah. And I think, when you say leading with their heart, and it's in a nonprofit sector, is typically, at least in your experience, has shown that it pays less than the for-profit world. And I was reading on your website, I think back in 85, it was like an abandoned farm where you guys started. And it was, I think, 600 or more volunteer hours that really started this organization and, built the foundation to what it is today.
Yeah, that's part of the reasons why I joined, on that rich history and how it was founded. I mean, Henry Tews, who founded the organization, truly was a visionary and was able to identify this property, which is very unique and fits perfectly for our services to the Collier County population.
Yeah. Yeah. So building sustainability, financial challenges are a problem with any kind of business, right? There's challenges, and there's, even if you're doing well, and there's finding the growth to continue to serve more beneficiaries, I guess. But you guys have grown quite a bit in the last, I think, 7 to 10 years, right? I think you started at what was the number?
Yeah, roughly when I came in the organization, we were about $1.8 million in revenue with our programs. And really, the industry as a whole, in the private insurance component, was very, very lucrative. However, on the indigent population, which is primarily who Serenity House serves, so that's getting funding from the federal and state government, on top of philanthropic. But we struggled with that early on, and fortunately for us, in the federal and state, and unfortunately to society with the opiate epidemic, it's been recognized, and legislation has actually stepped up and put money towards that. And we've been beneficiaries of that and been able to get us up to standards, and in some cases advance some programs that we so dearly needed.
Sure, good financial stewards of the funds, and ultimately helping as many people who need help in the community as possible.
Yeah.
And it looks like you've done a fantastic job with that. So why don't we dive right into Serenity House? What is Serenity House really? What is it at its core? You mentioned opioid addiction and alcohol addiction. I'm sure there's others.
Yeah, primarily serving the indigent population, both men and women. Our program is primarily a extended residential. So many of those clients, as we call them, come into Serenity House. For years, they've been battling addiction, broken families in that process. And I always look at it on a scale, not that there's a typical addiction process, but if you were to put it on a timeline scale, historically, people who seek out addiction services, you usually start with an outpatient, Paul, and then they may need to go into if their addiction is advanced, they may need to go into a residential treatment facility, which is right around 28, 30 days. And after the release of that, they usually stay into some sort of a continuing education group, sponsorship. And that cycle will advance on some folks. Maybe it didn't work. And so that process starts over again and over again. Well, unfortunately, if you're an indigent clientele, that resources really run thin, right? If you don't have primary insurance, and there's really not assistance in that category for Medicaid, for folks that just don't have insurance. And those populations have recycled in society over and over and over again. In some cases, your addiction overcomes you, where the fact that you've created some minimal criminal activity, and it really just it deepens the cycle for you. And in some cases, jail might be in the process, or just getting law enforcement involved in that process. And so where Serenity House comes in is really in that tail end. We're not a 30-day treatment facility that focuses on insurance. our primary mission is to help those that have had years and years of struggle of addiction and have gone through that cycle, early cycles, and don't have those resources available and have had incredible trauma, mental health issues, and just don't have the resources. So that's where we come in to help that indigent population to really start their lives over again. And we do that in our, what we call a extended care program, minimum of 90 days, but we see a lot of our clients stay roughly around 180 days, where we help them ultimately become employed, accountable, and we help them through that process of employment, transportation to those jobs. They come back in the evening having a group dinner, and they have counseling sessions in the evening, and that's our schedule, Monday through Sunday, is kind of that process. After they've been able to successfully move on from that program, our next program is our recovery homes. And we have 8 recovery homes throughout DuPage, and most recently, one in King County in Batavia, Illinois. And we offer that as an opportunity for their next level of care. And it's a step down. So they've been able to prove themselves through employment, through financial budgeting, and getting some of the key criteria of their lives back together. Maybe that's a driver's license. Maybe that's introducing them back to their families that they've deteriorated some relationships in the past. So that gives them an opportunity to go to one of our recovery homes. And I'd say about 60% of our clients actually take that opportunity to go to our recovery homes. On the extended care, we have 44 beds. On the recovery home side, we have 70 beds. So we take individuals who go through our program and go to our recovery home. And like I said, it's kind of a step down. They do still have to have a relationship with sponsors and meetings and things like that, but more so independently. And clients in that recovery home usually stay right around 1.5 to 2 years in our program. Now, state averages, when you look at recovery homes, Oxford House type recovery homes, typical stay would be anywhere from 45 to 90 days, state averages. And you look at it based upon how we run our program, our clients are staying 1.5 to 2 years. And it's been proven, the longer you stay in recovery, the better chances that you have for a future in sobriety. So we do an incredible job in that regard in giving folks the chance. But the first and foremost is they have to come through our halfway house, 90-day program. We offer some other programs as well that obviously tie into our services for the community, which are our outpatient, obviously the risk education, DUI services, and outpatient classes as well are here on our main campus in Addison. We do have an office in Geneva, a satellite office, and primarily, again, outpatient services and assessments get taken care of there. So that's what we have there. 2 additional programs that are really close to us and kind of new, but we're incredibly excited, and again, very close to the core of our services, are the ROSC program, and that's Recovery Oriented Systems of Care. And that program is really about driving the communities and educating the communities about those in recovery. And the folks that are on the staff of our ROSC team are all in recovery or have a lived experience tied to them to be in that position. But they will work with other agencies in our community, sharing some of the latest either technologies, medicines, or processes and programs that are available into the community, again, serving those indigent folks that are needing those services the most. And we help guide that through our partnerships with other agencies in the community. The recovery, the RCO, Recovery Care Organization, is really the umbrella to the ROSC. And that has its own independent operations of a nonprofit organization. It's in its infancies, but that would have its own board, its own council to help really drive a lot of the specific programs that the ROSC is trying to establish. We were fortunate enough to get awarded through the state both of those programs, and it just made sense, obviously, to tie that into who we are as Serenity House and our services, given the clientele that we actually service. So we're very fortunate to have those two programs really tied close to us. We're very fortunate to have the staff, which many of them have actually come through Serenity House. So those that want to really take their recovery seriously and give back to the community, we've been able to offer positions for several of those individuals, and we're just really excited about those two programs because they're doing a tremendous amount of work in the community all across DuPage. We're even getting into Kane County and extending that, and we're fortunate to have the leadership that we have in it. We're also very fortunate to have the state recognition for that leadership because recently our lead supervisor of the programs, Jared Burton, was just actually awarded a nice award for his leadership on those two programs.
Oh, nice.
And what he's been able to accomplish in the last 2 years. So we're really excited about what we're able to do there.
Wow. Well, it sounds like great programs. And I love the fact that it could even be full circle where they could be part of the ROSC team because they've been through that. And of course, who better to shepherd in the new incoming people who need that
That's
help.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the people that best that obviously can identify with those that are early in recovery. Now, just to be clear, the ROSC program and the RCO staff members, they're not clinical, but what they do is help really those that are in recovery, continuing to navigate sustainability of their sobriety through programs, outreach, services offered through the county. DuPage County offers a tremendous amount of programs and resources that, again, generally, a lot of our population and citizens don't really know all of the services that are available. So the ROSC team and the RCO team do a great, phenomenal job of navigating individuals through those services.
Department of Health and Human Services rocks.
Yeah.
County. I will attest to that. I love a quote on your site because sometimes, there can be a stigma or shame when going through this. And I love this piece that was written on the website on the history page called, it says, "Our goal is to break silence, end stigmas, get well, and empower generations." I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a no nonsense. This is what we're here to do. We need to get through this. And
yeah, we're excited. Given that message that you just said, we've done a great job in the last few years collaborating with other agencies throughout DuPage. One specifically is NAMI and the PLT organization in DuPage here. And there is a component of mental health. There's a component of substance use that is a deeper dive for us to reach out into our high schools, middle schools, and our partnerships have shown that in most recent years with our partnerships with the PLT and the Glenbard schools, the Addison schools, and the Woodridge schools, where they've contracted with both us and NAMI to actually work within the school districts to ultimately come in and work with the teenagers and the leadership team. We call it the Ambassador Program. And really, our teenagers are leading that, learning leadership skills, in also identifying mental health challenges within their own peers, substance use within their own peers, and really being advocates for education materials, advertising programs. And we've just been really, really fortunate to be a part of that. And the collaboration and partnership, I think, has been very successful. When I first came into this position, Paul, there wasn't a supervisor or superintendent that was really identifying challenges and issues with substance use or mental health within their schools. Not enough to at least reach out to the experts. But in the last few years, they've actually knocked on our doors and have really welcomed us and partnered with us for those programs at the teenager level.
Wow. And you mentioned NAMI. Are you speaking of NAMI DuPage?
Correct.
NAMI DuPage. And then you mentioned, was it PLT?
Yeah, the parent leadership team, okay, which is out of DuPage, primarily in the Glenbard school districts.
Okay. Yeah, we want to make sure we shout out to them as well when we produce this. Well, great programs for our community for sure. And with you at the helm, it certainly has built up. You said something like $4.2 million in funding that goes out to those beneficiaries that could take advantage of your services for sure.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts or words for our listeners?
I just think that there's a lot of times where Serenity House has not been a focal point or a banner of advertising in our services. So it is nice to be a part of a show like this, Paul, to really get out to the public on who Serenity House is, what our services are into that community. And we look for other partners within the community where it may seem fit, in support. We're a community organization, so the reality is that's what our mission is. That's what we truly aspire to be. Thankful for the opportunity. I'm glad that this is getting out there and for people to really understand what Serenity House is about, given who we serve and how we go about it, and the partnerships that we've been able to obviously collaborate with most recently.
Well put. Excited to get the message out as well. And I thank you for your time and for being here and telling us about the organization.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So with that, till next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Mission Matters podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.